Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Angie. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Typically on this channel we do Read the Bible with me, where we read the Bible together, but today we're going to do something different. With the holiday season approaching and Thanksgiving literally this coming Thursday, I thought it'd be great to talk about a topic that typically isn't talked about during the holiday, and that is how to deal with difficult people. And when I say difficult people, I mean people that we know, family and friends. There are a lot of functions that are coming up, and sometimes people, or some of us, do not attend these functions because we want to avoid someone who may be coming there, or we just don't have a good time when we come there because it always turns into a drama-filled packed show, or it's just, we just cannot, it's just negativity and we just don't want to be there. So we don't want to miss out on spending time with family. So we want to learn how we can deal with difficult people in situations that brings us all together. In a time that's supposed to be positive and joyous, how did Jesus deal with difficult people? He surely had his share of situations of dealing with challenging people. So today, let's dive into that. Okay, so I have 10 steps or 10 tips on how to deal with difficult people during the holidays. And the first one that I have here is set boundaries. It's so important to clearly define what behavior you are willing to tolerate. And someone crosses those boundaries, we need to reiterate what those are. And that may be an uncomfortable thing for us to do if you're not used to doing it. If you're not used to setting boundaries, it may be very, very uncomfortable when you do the first time. But it's very important that you do it. So let's use a little example that's as far as, what if you go to a function and you have someone who is so used to calling you a nickname that you clearly cannot stand. And so you meet a family member or a friend and they say, "Hey, little Tom," or "Hey, little Nikki," and it just bugs you to the core. So here is an important time to set boundaries. And you're going to set boundaries and you're going to clearly communicate that, hey, my name is not little Nikki, my name is not little Tommy, and tell them what you would prefer to be called by and set that boundary. Number 2, practice patience. Understand that the holidays can be stressful for everyone. Try to approach difficult conversations with kindness and patience. And number 3 is stay calm. This is an area that for me can be very difficult because we find ourselves wanting to defend ourselves or make our point. Most time people are felt misunderstood and it makes you feel angry. So we want to stay calm, maintain your composure, take deep breaths, step away for a moment, and that can help. Number 4, we want to focus on positivity. Shift your attention to the joyful aspects of the seasons. Surround yourself with supportive friends and family who are uplifting. You want to put yourself in a situation that is a positive environment. If you absolutely know that a function that you have been invited to is full of negative people, then that may not be the function that you want to attend. Number 5, limit exposure. If certain individuals consistently bring negativity to your holiday celebrations, consider limiting your time with them. If you absolutely know that this function is going to be full of people who are dead set on being negative, your time may have to be limited. I'm not saying don't go. I'm saying maybe you don't stay as long. But we're going to practice the other steps before. We're going to be calm, we're going to practice patience, and we're going to maintain those boundaries that we have set. Number 6, communicate openly. If someone's behavior bothers you, address it directly but tactfully. Use I statements to express how you feel without sounding accusatory. When you're setting the boundaries, if we use the example of being called by a nickname that you clearly have grown out of or do not like anymore, tell them why. I feel disrespected. I feel like you don't understand how this makes me feel, or I feel that whatever that might be. So clearly communicate to that person or those people why you feel the way you feel. Number 7, Find common ground. Try to engage in a topic of mutual interest or a festive activity to help ease tension and create a more enjoyable atmosphere. If you see that a conversation is derailing into a negative area, try to bring it back online and talk about something that brings everybody joy to make it a more enjoyable, positive atmosphere. Number 8, practice empathy. Try to understand the other person's perspective. This can help you respond more compassionately, which may diffuse difficult situations. If we go back to the situation about your aunt or a friend calling you a nickname during these festivities that you clearly do not want to be called, you want to possibly try to understand why they continue to call you that nickname. Maybe it was a time that was a pleasant time for them. It was a time where y'all had a good time together when you were younger. Maybe it was a time that brings them good memories and fond memories of the time you spent together. So if we try to understand their perspective of why they are being the way that they are, then maybe that will give us a little bit more empathy, how to deal with these difficult situations. Number 9, seek support. Talk to family and friends about your feelings. Sometimes experiencing or sharing your experiences can lighten the load. And this is different from gossiping. When you talk to a family member about your feelings, sometimes if you're talking to someone who has a positive mindset, they can help you navigate through the way you're feeling and offer some suggestions on how to deal with that difficult person or situation. Number 10, know when to walk away. If interactions become too overwhelming, it's okay to excuse yourself. Prioritize your well-being during the holiday season. It is absolutely, again, okay to walk away. Bringing it back to what would Jesus do? And Jesus absolutely had situations where he dealt with difficult people. And how did he deal with that? Let's dive into some ways on how Jesus interacted or dealt with difficult situations. And I have a few here. Jesus often dealt with difficult people with compassion, wisdom, and firmness. So one of the ways that Jesus dealt with people was with empathy and compassion. Jesus showed compassion to those who were marginalized or struggling, such as those that were sick, sinners, and outcasts. He listened to their needs and offered love and acceptance. During the holidays, there's a lot of people who are lonely, a lot of people who don't have a lot of family and a lot of friends. So just to have someone listen means a lot to a lot of people. So when you're around different people at different situations, try to listen to those who oftentimes people do not want to hear. While Jesus was patient and understanding, he also set clear boundaries when necessary. For instance, he confronted religious leaders when their actions were hypocritical or harmful, calling them out on their behavior. Jesus also dealt with difficult situations by teaching through parables. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go to a party or a holiday function and teach through parables, but these are some ways that Jesus dealt with difficult situations. When faced with difficult questions or criticism, Jesus often used parables to illustrate his point. These stories engaged his listeners and made complex ideas more relatable. During difficult situations, Jesus dealt with people by responding with love. Jesus emphasized love as a guiding principle. Even when facing hostility, he promoted love for one's neighbor and enemies, showing how love can transform difficult situations. And so we too are to practice love. Yes, it can be very challenging sometimes in ourselves to practice love when someone is not loving. But Jesus has clearly shown us through his actions and his example that he loved those who were unlovable, and he has called us to do the very same thing. Jesus did not shy away from difficult conversations, often challenging the status quo with truth and clarity. And you too, when dealing with situations, speak your truth with clarity and again, love. Jesus also dealt with difficult situations and people with practicing forgiveness. Jesus taught the importance of forgiveness, illustrating this through his interactions with others and his ultimate sacrifice. He encouraged people to forgive as a means to heal and move forward. And we too are to practice forgiveness. When you forgive, not only does it heal and help the one who's forgiven, but it allows you to move on, allows you to release that to Jesus, and he, through that, can heal you. He also dealt with difficult situations by modeling humility. Jesus demonstrated humility in his interactions, often serving others and putting their needs above his own, which helped de-escalate tensions and foster understanding. Jesus also dealt with difficult situations by prayer and reflection. There are many times, several times, that Jesus often found himself going alone, away from the crowd, to pray to the Father. Jesus often sought solitude for prayer, using this time to reflect and seek guidance from God, which gave him the strength and wisdom to navigate difficult situations. How often do you find yourself praying before dealing with a situation? It is so important that we don't go in our own strength, but the strength of Christ himself when we are dealing with difficult people and difficult situations. And that too is what we need to do, or I need to do during the holiday season, is to pray and ask God for help, strength, wisdom, and understanding when dealing with difficult situations at different times during the holiday season. God's word is so good. As we navigate through the holidays, there are several incidents in the Bible that brings out difficult situations in different families. And I want to highlight some of those today, just so you know that we today go through difficult things with our families, and Jesus knew that. And that is why he has allowed these things to be documented in his word. And so Jesus cares. Even before we commit these abominable acts, he wants to reason with us. Another difficult situation is Esau. While not inherently difficult, the relationship between Esau and his brother Jacob, marked by deception. Jacob, with the help of his mother Rebekah, tricks Esau into giving up his birthright and later deceives their father Isaac to obtain Esau's blessing. So there's another family that has some workings of deception and favoritism and different things. One of the very main popular stories that all of us pretty much know, where there is some family issues going on and dealing with difficult people, was Joseph and his brothers. In the story of Joseph, his brothers are difficult when they conspire against him out of jealousy. They throw him into a pit and eventually sell him into slavery. And this came from a sense, like I've said, of jealousy and envy and strife within their family. It was feelings that weren't dealt with, and it led to ultimately selling their brother into slavery. Another one is David's sons. David's sons, particularly Absalom, created turmoil within his family. Absalom rebels against David, leading to a civil war and personal heartache for David. Again, more family difficulties that God allowed to be in the Bible, so that we can see that, yes, we will go through these things in our families, but Jesus has given us tools on how to navigate before it gets too bad, or that we can find ways to alleviate the pain and the misunderstanding that we are going through within our families, especially through the holiday season. And there you are. There are some ways on how to get through the holiday season and dealing with difficult people. And I pray that that is not the case for you. I hope that you and your family have a joyful, peaceful, wonderful time together. Until next time, thank you for stopping by, and God bless.